On March 25, 2024, at around 11:18 in the morning, Loletha Hall arrived at the home of William Brock, located in the 7000 block of South Charleston Clifton Road. She was there for a simple reason: to retrieve a package, a routine task assigned through the Uber app. Loletha Hall was 61 years old from Columbus, Ohio. She worked as an Uber driver, handling both ride requests and deliveries, moving through her day one task at a time. There was nothing unusual about this one until she reached Brock's front door. William Brock, an 82-year-old man living alone in Madison Township, Clark County, was known as quiet and self-reliant. He had no history of violence, but he was elderly, isolated, and, as it would turn out, deeply shaken by something that had begun earlier that day. You see, in the hours before Hall arrived, Brock had been receiving a series of scam calls. The scammers on the other end told him that someone he knew, the grandson of a family friend, had been involved in a fatal accident and was now in jail. They demanded $12,000 in ransom and warned that if he didn't comply, harm would come to him or his loved ones. The calls grew more threatening, claiming he was being watched through drones and that someone would soon arrive at his home to collect the money. The callers told him to expect a woman in a black car, and they told him what to do when she arrived: to take her phone, to make sure she couldn't call for help. So, when Loletha Hall pulled into the driveway, holding her phone and her glasses, unaware of the story that had already been built around her, she was stepping into a situation she could never have imagined. As she approached the door, Brock came out to meet her, but instead of greeting her, he was holding a revolver. Confused and frightened, Hall tried to explain that she was an Uber driver, that she was just there to pick up a package, but Brock didn't believe her. He demanded to know who sent her, took her phone, and blocked her from leaving. The tension between them grew quickly. Hall, desperate to get away, tried to step back towards her car, and in that moment, a struggle broke out near the doorway. Brock fired his weapon, once at her leg and then twice more. He would later tell police that he thought he was defending himself from a scam, but by the time he made the call to 911, it was already too late. Hall was rushed to the hospital but died from multiple gunshot wounds during surgery. Brock, meanwhile, suffered only minor injuries to his head and ear from the scuffle. When the officers arrived at the scene, they got the call to Brock from the scammers again, where the officers tried to get the information about the scammer, where he said he would reach in 20 minutes to the Brock's home, but never showed up.
Yes. No, I need to know what officer, sir.
You're gonna be in trouble.
Okay. Let me ask you this. The female you sent over here, you know who she is?
Yes, I do.
Okay, well, she's been in an accident. And this is actually an officer. It's Detective Cruz with the Clark County Sheriff's Office. I need you to dial a number, get this number so I can explain more to you. Hello? Hello?
Yes, I'm sorry, we got disconnected there.
Okay.
What were you saying?
She was in an accident. This is Detective Cruz with the Clark County Sheriff's Office. She was taken to the hospital. I need you to call so we can get more information on her.
Okay, what type of accident?
It was a serious accident. We'll just say that.
A serious accident?
Yes.
Is she okay?
No, she's not doing well.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
She just say she was taken to the hospital.
What hospital is she
I'm
at?
not going to tell you that until you meet me so I can make sure you're family or something like that.
Okay, I'm gonna be there, give me 20 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
Where is the gentleman that was there?
Huh?
The gentleman that was there. Where is he?
He's talking to us, so I need you to come.
Okay, thank you. I'll be there.
20 minutes, get ready. Let's see if he shows up.
Did they get stabilized a little bit?
She's in the ambulance, so they'll get her care flight and get her situated.
On April 15, 2024, he was indicted on 3 counts of murder, one for intentional killing, one for felony murder during an assault, and another for kidnapping, along with additional related charges. Hall's family filed a lawsuit against him soon after, seeking justice for her pain, suffering, and the loss of her estate. As of now, Brock remains out on a $200,000 bond under house arrest, awaiting his criminal trial, which is scheduled for November 3rd, 2025.
She may have been an Uber driver, she may have not, we're not sure yet. But she broke into his house. She entered his residence without permission, allegedly to get this package of money. She didn't knock on the door and said, "I'm from Uber, can you please give me whatever the order is?" She entered his house without permission, without knocking. And when she entered his house, he thought that this was the time when he was either going to die or he had to turn over the money. It's clear from the filings that we did last week that this will be a self-defense case. This is a case that, without dispute, involves the threat to kill an 81-year-old farmer. He reacted to that threat because he believed it to be true. And in his mind, there was no question that he either had to give the money to the con men and the assailants or be killed. Those were his two options.
Honestly, it's a case that raises a simple but haunting question. What if he had just called 911 instead? What if he had paused for one moment to think before pulling the trigger? A single phone call to the police could have stopped the lies and saved a life. But instead, fear and confusion took control, and an innocent woman who was just doing her job never made it home. In 2024, on a busy highway, Interstate 94 prior to 71st Street in the Chicago area, an Illinois state trooper faced a moment that could have easily turned into a tragedy. The trooper had stopped on the side of the road to assist a driver whose red sedan had been involved in a minor crash. His squad car was parked behind it, emergency lights flashing brightly in the dark, a familiar warning for approaching drivers to slow down and move over. He walked toward the disabled car, leaning slightly toward the driver's side window to speak to the motorist inside. It was an ordinary scene that countless officers experience every day, but within seconds, everything changed.
Okay, alright, you gonna be able to climb out? Can you get out to the passenger side? We're sitting in the middle of the lane of traffic. Okay. Oh my God. Chicago 3408, 1050 vehicle was just struck in the lane of traffic. If you could start fire this way. Chicago 3408, be advised I was partially struck.
Out of nowhere, two speeding vehicles came rushing down the highway. Their headlights cut through the rain-soaked night, moving far too fast to react in time. The trooper barely had a moment to process what was happening. One of the cars clipped the front of the red sedan, sending it spinning violently toward him. Acting on pure instinct, he jumped back, narrowly avoiding being crushed between the vehicles. The entire event, from the sound of screeching tires to the impact, lasted less than a minute, but for the trooper, it must have felt like an eternity. Inside the red sedan, the driver sat frozen, watching in horror. As the trooper dodged the out-of-control vehicles, debris flew across the highway, glass and metal scattering into the dark. When it was over, both the trooper and the driver were alive, shaken, but incredibly lucky. The driver of the red sedan suffered only minor injuries from flying debris, while the trooper somehow walked away without a single serious wound. As of October 2025, both speeding drivers faced multiple charges, including failure to move over and other traffic violations. Authorities did not release their identities, but many people who saw the footage questioned how they could have ignored the flashing emergency lights, some even suggesting that the drivers might have been impaired. Honestly, everyone involved was lucky to walk away that night. A single step in the wrong direction, a moment's delay, and the trooper might not have survived at all. On September 17, 2025, what began as a quiet night drive across the Nha Tan Bridge in Hanoi, Vietnam, slowly turned into something no one could have expected. The Nha Tan Bridge, stretching 8.3 kilometers across the Red River, is one of Vietnam's longest and most important bridges, a modern cable-stayed structure with separate lanes for cars and motorcycles, built to keep traffic organized and safe. That night, a car with Hanoi license plates was traveling smoothly across the bridge, maintaining its lane. The road ahead mostly clear and calm under the dim glow of the streetlights. Everything seemed normal until it wasn't. Out of the darkness, from the opposite direction, a faint shape began to appear. A middle-aged man, estimated to be between 40 and 50 years old, was cycling directly against the flow of traffic. He had no lights, no reflective gear, no helmet, just a bicycle and the dim road stretching ahead of him. By the time the driver realized what was happening, there was almost no time to react. The car swerved slightly, the tires screeching against the asphalt, but the cyclist was too close and the two collided head-on. The impact was so severe that the bicycle was twisted beyond recognition. The car's front end crumpled, and the man was thrown a considerable distance down the bridge. He died instantly from the force of the collision. What makes this more tragic is that bicycles are strictly prohibited on the Nha Tan Bridge because of its high-speed limits. Vehicles can travel up to 90 kilometers per hour, and yet, despite repeated warnings, incidents like this continue to happen. Witnesses later said the man seemed disoriented, possibly exhausted or unaware of where he was going. Some even speculated he may have been under the influence or simply trying to take a shortcut. But whatever the reason, his actions, riding a bicycle against traffic in a car lane without any visibility, violated several safety laws and created a situation that no driver could have avoided. The Hanoi police launched an investigation to determine the full circumstances of the crash, but as of now, there have been no public updates on the cyclist's identity or final findings. Many in the community expressed sadness, not only for the man who lost his life, but also for the driver, someone who had done nothing wrong, yet had to witness and live through that moment. Honestly, this entire tragedy could have been prevented. A single decision to follow the rules, to stay off the bridge, might have been enough to save a life that night. On August 28, 2018, a misunderstanding in Polk County, Florida, led to something far more serious. Jason Boak, 34, from Winter Haven, had a long history of legal trouble. Previous arrests for aggravated battery, burglary, and drug possession. That night, around 2:20 a.m., he was observing from afar via texts at the Grove Lounge in the U.S. Highway 27 in Dundee, Florida, where the bar was closing and people were leaving after a long night of drinking. Among them was Jasmine Measle, who was intoxicated and called an Uber to take her home. Another woman at the bar, Jessica Mazzarella, Jason's on-again, off-again girlfriend, helped Jasmine get safely into the Uber, driven by Robert Westlake. The two women did not know each other, but that small gesture would be the beginning of something Jason completely misunderstood. Jason sent a series of threatening texts to his girlfriend, including one that said, "I'm going to F both of y'all up," and another indicating he intended to assault the Uber driver. His behavior while stalking around the bar suggested they had unresolved issues beforehand. From a distance, Jason saw Jessica helping the other woman into the car. In his drunken state, he believed Jessica herself was leaving with another man. His anger flared instantly, and within minutes, he got into a borrowed pickup truck, despite having a suspended license, and began to chase down the Uber, where this happened.
I say something? Oh my God! Oh my God! I just shoot you!
The Uber driver, Robert Westlake, a 38-year-old licensed armed security officer from Lake Wales, was a concealed carry permit holder who had recently completed police academy training. He had no idea why a truck was tailgating him in the dark hours of the morning, but the way it kept speeding up and swerving behind him made it clear something was wrong. When Jason's truck suddenly swerved in front of the Uber and blocked the road, Robert had no way to escape. Within seconds, Jason jumped out of his truck and approached the car, yelling and holding something in his hand. Robert saw the object and thought it was a gun. Fearing for his life and his passengers, he pulled out his own .40 caliber pistol and fired a single shot through the window. Jason Buck was hit in the chest. He collapsed instantly beside the truck. Westlake immediately called 911 and stepped out to check on him. He retrieved what he thought was a gun and soon realized it was just a mobile phone. He performed CPR until help arrived, but Jason was pronounced dead at the scene. Inside the truck, police later found drug paraphernalia, but no firearm. On December 4th, 2018, Polk County Sheriff Grady Judd held a press conference calling it a classic stand-your-ground case.
This is a justifiable homicide all day long. You have the right to protect yourself. This is a classic stand your ground case. A classic, and this was the intent of the law. Let me paraphrase. Uber driver's just doing his job. He has no clue in the world what's happening until a truck forces him off of the road. The guy jumps out and in seconds is on him saying, "I got a pistol, you want me to shoot you?" And he defends himself.
Florida's law allows a person to use deadly force if they reasonably believe they are in immediate danger. As a result, no charges were filed after the state attorney's office reviewed the case. Jason Boak's family was heartbroken and angry. They argued that Robert could have driven away or avoided using his gun, and they criticized the sheriff's public comments, saying they felt he was defending a shooting too casually. Robert Westlake himself later said he lived with the memory every day and wished none of it had happened.
I wish the whole chain of events didn't happen. When I popped up, he took 2 more steps. And it sealed it in my mind that I got it. I'm not getting shot. As my foot hit the object, it was like, that's a phone. I thought for a moment that I hit him in a spot where he could survive. I thought for a moment after doing compressions I had him back.
It's your birthday today and you feel guilty about what you did?
Not about what I did, but guilty that someone else doesn't get to enjoy the things that I get to enjoy. Everything I do right now, I'm constantly being reminded this other person doesn't get to do this. So it's hard to enjoy some things.
In the end, a simple misunderstanding fueled by jealousy, alcohol, and rage turned into a deadly encounter on a quiet Florida road. All it took was a few seconds, a wrong assumption, a split-second reaction, and a life was gone forever. On the evening of February 10th, 2022, what began as an ordinary Uber ride for 38-year-old Christina Spicuzza turned into something deeply tragic. Christina, a mother of 4 from Turtle Creek, Pennsylvania, worked part-time as an Uber driver to support her family while raising her children, who were between 1 and 13 years old at the time. She was known by those close to her as kind, hardworking, and devoted to her kids, a woman simply trying to make ends meet. That night, she accepted a ride request from Calvin Crew, a 22-year-old man from Pitcairn, though the request itself was made through his girlfriend's Uber account. Crew entered Christina's silver Nissan Sentra wearing a dark hoodie, a hat, and a mask, and sat quietly in the back seat as the car began to move through the quiet streets. For the first 10 minutes, everything seemed normal, just another late-night fare. But then, Crew slowly shifted from his corner of the seat toward the center, and in one sudden moment pressed a gun against the back of Christina's head.
Hi, Fortunea. How are you today? I'm sorry?
Keep driving.
You've got to be joking.
Keep driving.
What are you doing?
This is a gun. Keep driving.
No, it's not. Stop. Come on, man. I got a family. What are you doing?
I got a family too. Now drive.
What are you doing?
Drive.
Please stop.
Drive the car, miss.
Why
Just
are you
drive.
doing
Don't
this?
Don't make this so noticeable. Just drive.
Why are you doing this?
Just drive the car.
To where?
Complete the trip.
I cannot do that.
Complete the trip.
Why are you doing this?
Complete the trip.
Please.
Complete the trip.
Please
drive.
stop. Please, I'm begging you.
I'm begging
I have
you.
4
Drive the
kids.
car.
What are you
Drive
doing?
the car.
He told her to keep driving. You can hear her in the dashcam footage, her voice trembling but calm, pleading with him, saying she had a family, begging him not to hurt her. Still, she followed his commands. Crew reached forward, took her phone, and turned off the dashcam, making sure nothing more would be recorded.
Complete it. Now drive.
take that off of me. Please. No.
Keep driving. Do what I say and everything will be alright.
For nearly an hour, he forced her to drive through several neighborhoods while he tried to access her banking apps, attempting to transfer money. She kept pleading quietly, hoping he would change his mind. But at around 9:50 p.m., somewhere near Monroeville, he shot her once in the head, a single gunshot behind her ear. Afterward, he dumped her body in a wooded area and abandoned her car, leaving behind nothing but silence. Christina was reported missing the next day, and when police began searching the route of her last Uber trip, they found the car, and not far from it, her dash cam. It was the crucial piece of evidence that revealed what had happened that night. The ride was traced back to Crew through Uber's records, and within days, he was arrested. His girlfriend, Tanya Mullen, had used her phone to book the trip, but she was never charged in connection with the murder. Crew had a history of trouble. He grew up with a difficult past marked by violence and neglect, and had been arrested just 2 days before the killing for trying to buy a gun illegally. He was released without bail, and 2 days later, he took Christina's life. He was later convicted and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus an additional 13 to 26 years. He continues to maintain his innocence, filing appeals that claim racial bias in his case, though the evidence against him remains overwhelming. For Christina's family, justice may have come on paper, but it did not bring peace. Her children lost their mother, her husband lost his partner, and a simple act of kindness, accepting one more fare at the end of the night, cost her everything. It was a senseless act driven by greed, one that left behind an empty home, unanswered questions, and a lifetime of pain for the people who loved her.